We've been lucky enough to score a project, VW Golf R32, that needed some love. You can see here it's had a rough section of time in its life, and we're bringing this R32 back to its former glory. So here's how R32 number 18 is being resurrected. But first, the beginnings. Back in October 2018, I decided to look into installing the VR6 engine as a swap to go into my Audi S3 8L. I picked up the 2.8 litre VR6 for a great price. How much? You'll see in a bit. And this is where my confidence grew in working on the VR6 engine. I spent a great amount of time tearing this engine down as I did a comprehensive service. Timing chains and guides, upgraded the gearbox forks to the solid ones found in the later model gearboxes, along with a new clutch and flywheel. I swung it into the Nagaro Blue S3 and got it working. Now, at the same time as buying the 2.8 litre, I was also lucky enough to score the 3.2, which came in 3 boxes: the head wrapped in plastic, the block on its own, and the crank wrapped in a brown towel. So unpacking the kit was an eye-opener. There were so many parts, and I got to researching and also went to understand what I needed to do. To get the build underway, I needed a piston installation tool, and I was lucky enough to find a shallow sump and some spare cam phasers. New piston rings were ordered and installed for peace of mind. The block came with bearings that looked okay, and a plastic gauge session confirmed that everything was within spec. With the crank and pistons installed, a quick test by hand shows everything moves freely, and the cylinders are looking like they're able to move air around too. So far, the 3.2 engine rebuild is looking really good. Next was to take care of the ancillaries: water pump, exhaust and intake gaskets, cam cover gaskets, and injector seals were all installed as new parts. The S3's front came off again to get ready for the 2.8 to 3.2 swap. Once both engines were out, the clutch kits were swapped over and in went the 3.2 into the S3 8L. And of course it fits like a glove. Time for some running in. This is where Collar MFA came in really handy to monitor the engine. Now the S3.2 wasn't around for that long, and it got swapped back to a 1.8T and was moved on. Enter the R32 number 18 of 200. This was the state of the car when we first got it. A little diamond in the rough, don't you think? Repairs on the suspension were required to get the R32 mobile again, and once it was able to drive, of course we took it for a spin. After that, we transported it home. Then we got to work. Now we had a freshly built Mk4 R32 engine fully running with a new clutch kit and freshly broken in. We installed that into the Mk4 R32, swapping out the old engine for the fresh one. once the transplant was successful, it was time for a test run, and we're glad to say number 18's new heart is beating nice and strong. Next, we worked on tidying up the exterior and leather as best as we could. The wheels were a bit of a mess, but luckily enough, through a good friend, we were able to source a set of Aristos and have them refurbished. We couldn't be happier with the result. So now here's a 360 of how the Golf was running, interior cleaned up and most of the exterior looking semi-respectable. After all of this work, the R32 was put into storage and then COVID happened. We kind of forgot about it. Fast forward to 2022 when we decided to bring him back out of hiding for some major bodywork. All of the dings and bumps have been repaired along with the freshened up bumpers. And now we're able to enjoy driving the R32. And although there's still some restoration work to be done, it's come to a point now where all the energy being put into the car is really giving back to us. We'll keep pushing on and updating as we progress. We hope you've enjoyed seeing R32 number 18's Resurrection. Like and subscribe for further updates.